Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Excuse my hair, it's very fluffy. We're here for a late night live, very late, it's 10:30. We talk about Cardiff City, Cardiff City versus Southampton. The game finished 5-3. A game, two sides, young players against Premier League opposition. But what did we think? What did we think of the individuals' performances? Did anyone step up, stand out? Maybe they've put their hat in the ring for a start versus Borough. Let's talk about it. Talk about the transfers. Ryan Winsel's made his loan move out to Millwall. There were some discussions throughout today whether he might be released from his contract and possibly and go that way. But it's a loan, and we'll discuss that in a minute as well. If you've got any questions, any opinions, anything you want to discuss, then I'm blind. Let's talk about it. If you haven't already, check out the interview we done with Gavin Ray. It was out last weekend. And of course, you can catch my 2.5-hour interview with Craig Bellamy a couple of weeks after he was named Wales manager, which is over on ACEpodcastnation, among other things. But yeah, let's talk about tonight first and foremost. Finished 5-3. And look, one of Cardiff's issues has been scoring goals. So to see us score 3 goals from open play, albeit one of them's an own goal, it's come from good play. And I thought for those young players to go behind 3 times, well 4 technically, but to go behind 3 times and to perform at the level they did and get back into the game, deserve a tremendous amount of credit. And I also thought that Ruben Colwell, especially in the first half, really stood out for us. Thought he was excellent. He was like at the heart of everything. Indeed, played some real good balls. A couple of times he nearly put Reindorf through, but just offside. But and Reindorf's another one, right? I just think I look at him and everything he does. He's a bit raw. He sometimes his passing's a bit heavy, or hasn't quite got the weight of it and stuff, like little tiny things which come with experience. But overall, he's keen to impress, isn't he? So maybe he's a bit uptight, but I think his work rate, his pressing, he sometimes holds on to the ball a little bit long. But like for me, I think he's got to be on the bench for the first team, because I think that sort of player can cause mayhem. If you need a goal, just chuck him up front and he'll just do a very similar job to what Robinson did on the weekend. We'll press and press and press, put teams under pressure, we'll run in behind. Been really impressed with him. I know he hasn't got his goal in his 2 sort of appearances in the EFL Cup, but I've really been impressed with him. I thought he's done a real good job. Rinomoto again had a real good game today. He really looked after the ball, worked hard. Sometimes the quality is not there with him at certain points. But, I mean, the man hasn't played a lot of football over the last couple of years, so you can kind of excuse that a little bit, I thought Robertson was excellent when he came on. I thought Conte was a bit quiet first half, a little bit sloppy in first half, but I thought second half he really stepped up, because I was going... to one friend of mine in the first half, I was like, I think Raheem Conte is better at fullback than he is on the wing, because I didn't think he had a great game when he played on the wing the other week. But I thought second half he really showed that he can do that job, and he was a big part of us getting a couple of goals in the second half. Obviously, Ruben scored an absolute screamer in the first half, and he's got that in his locker. But I thought his overall game was excellent as well. Interestingly, he in the first half, he was the trigger point for the press. He was the furthest forward, and Reindorf was almost slotting into the 10 out of possession, which is interesting to me, because last year, one of Errol Bullett's criticisms, or one of the things he wanted Ruben Colwell to improve, was his work rate off the ball. Now, I've said a few times, I'm not too worried about his work rate off the ball. For me, like, those creative players in the number 10, your strikers, yes, they've got to press and they've got to do a certain job if you want to play a certain way. But I don't mind him cheating a little bit compared to some others, because I want him to create and I want him to find those pockets of space when your Robertsons and your Siopis or Rinamotos win the ball, you want him to be ready to receive it and create on the break. But that was interesting to me because he was leading the press a lot of the time in the first half. Who else did I think did well? I thought Pacquiao was excellent again. And I thought he did better defensively today in that first half. He, a couple of times, used his body well to shield the ball, get across the winger, and just slow him down to allow the kind of wingers to get back. I thought Kean Ashford did all right, worked hard. I think the problem with Kean, I think he is a little bit lightweight. So when he gets shoulder to shoulder, if he can't get away from his marker with pace, he can sometimes get eased off the ball a little bit. But yeah, overall, you've got to be positive. Like, we played a team for the youngsters, really, and Gutas. Like, I know Ruben's a first-team player, but he's still like 22 or whatever, 21, a young man. And then you've got Gutas and you've got Rinamoto and the rest are kids, Alnick. Gutas is, wow, I don't know what's going on with him this season, but I'm really glad we've signed 3 good centre-backs because he just does not look like as people will remember, I said last year, I wasn't overly convinced by him, but I thought he did a job. He could kind of be the centre-back who goes and tries to win the ball and be attacking and tight, while McGuinness was sort of the ball player. But I did feel like he had like a bit of a... I'm going to discuss the Ruben and Bellamy and thing. I will discuss that now because I think people are making a much bigger deal of it than what it is. And I think we'll discuss it in a minute. But like, yeah, with Gutas, like, I thought he was... I don't know what he was in the second Southampton goal. They've got it around the penalty spot, like in line with the penalty spot. And he's almost on top of the keeper. He's so deep in the area and just weird, like, But he did all right on the ball, but defensively, I thought he was a bit off. And I'm real glad that we've got 3 good choices at centre back. And then you've also got Fagan Walcott. I thought Fagan Walcott did all right on the ball. He's really, really good. I think defensively, positionally, he's pretty good. Like he reads the game pretty well, and he'll take up good positions. I thought once or twice he switched off a little bit with the markers and runners around him. But in terms of reading where the ball's going to go, I think he's real good and positionally. But just, yeah, that you get that with young players because they're young, they're learning. And they're learning like to play proper top level men's football as well. Overall, I think as a Cardiff fan, look, I do get it. Like, we're out with the EFL Cup, which can be quite a handy thing for rotations and squad players if you have like a bit of a run in it. And if we played a stronger side today, was that game there to be won? I would argue maybe yeah, but I don't think it's a bad thing, the team we played, because I think there's a few of those, like, for instance, I know Errol Bullock really likes Pacquiao. One of the things that I think people would be worried about with Pacquiao with playing first team football is defensively, is he concentrated enough and is he physical enough to do the defensive side of it? He's certainly a good attacking fullback and he's going to be a special attacking fullback, but can he do that defensive side of it? And I thought tonight he showed that. So for him, that's a good workout and that's a good game. He's had a very good game. He's played fullback, done the defensive stuff, looked great on the ball, and done all the other things he's done well. So that's good. Raheem Conte, I've said numerous times I don't think he should go out on loan because he should be on the bench as your versatile player who can play fullbacks, play wing, can play centre midfield, can basically play anywhere. So that's a player you have on the bench because it enables you to put more attacking players on the bench. And I thought Raheem Conte had a real good, strong second half. I thought of the subs, I thought Tu's done all right, although I think he's got to do better for that 4th goal when he tries to bring it down. He was a bit soft with that, but the kids, and I really would like to see some of these kids get a chance. So, for instance, Pacquiao, I'm still not 100% sure on Bagan. I think Bagan looks more comfortable as a centre back. I like Louis Giles. Maybe he's not quite there yet, first team wise, but Pacquiao I think is not far off. I think Conte is ready to get some game time. You think he showed that last year. Obviously, like Ruben. Kean, I do wonder how much time Kean's going to get this year, which is a bit of a worry. Because we've got Willock and El Ghazi and Mate and Tanner, and we're looking at least one other on loan as well. So you wonder whether he might end up going out on loan. Certainly at the moment, I'd be looking to get Rowan Reindorf on the bench. I think he's a real good option, but that means someone misses out, and this is the thing of having a deep squad. Joshua makes a great point. Like, Keane Ashford's not a winger. He's a number 9. But unfortunately, physically, I don't think he's quite ready to be a number 9 who can do the job that Robinson can do, say, through the middle. I did suggest last year, maybe towards the end of the season, we could have played Ruben as a false 9 and Keane as a 10, and then kind of cross over to see if that would work. It was a bit of an experimental thing, but I just think the people who are going to be negative will be negative about whatever. But ultimately, I thought it was a good workout. The youngsters gave a great account of themselves, and there was one or two who really, really stood out. And they competed with players like Southampton's academy is worldwide renowned for churning out quality players. Plus all the players they brought on, like Bella Kocher and these people, Adam Lallana, who are, they are quantifiable first team players. And our youngsters competed with them for 92 minutes. So I think you have to say, well done, good workout. And I think a few threw their head in the ring. It would be nice to see. It would be nice to see us have a good FA Cup run. He played a much younger side than I thought he'd play as well, I got to say. I thought we would be looking at something along the lines of, I thought it would be Giles, Bagan, Gutas at the back, or 3 if he went 3 with Fagan Walcott as well. I thought it would be Pacquiao right back, and then I thought it would be like Robertson and Reno, Ruben, Tanner and Ashford either side, maybe, or something like that. I suppose it wasn't that different, really. Maybe just a couple of players here or there. It's a very, very young side, very young bench as well. I thought Alex Robertson's really starting to come into his state. You can see he's starting to settle now. Showed, like I would say, on Sunday against Swansea, I thought he was very good without being like sensational. He was very tidy, very clean, always wanted the ball, worked hard, gave us legs in the midfield, very rarely gave the ball away. Very, very good. Tonight, when he came on, I thought we just looked a whole different thing in the midfield for that first sort of 25 minutes of the second half. Southampton struggled with us a little bit in midfield because we had Rinamoto, who was full of energy, and then the quality of Alex Robertson as well. So I thought, like, for me, when I'm picking the midfield, Alex Robertson's the first name going down on the team sheet. I asked the question, or someone off my team asked the question earlier when we were waiting for me to get back home. Do you think, or what would your midfield be against Borough now? If I said to you, pick your midfield now, and everyone's fit, so we'll assume Rawls is fit, who are you picking? Who's your midfield 2? Who's your number 10? Because mine, against Middlesbrough and the way they play, I think I'm going Rawls and Robertson, and I'm giving Cyprus a rest. I love Cyprus, and I think long term this season, the partnership will be him and Robertson for a lot of games because I think they'll complement each other well. But you can't ignore the fact that he's giving the ball away a lot. Instead, he's trying to overcomplicate it. Like, what I want to see from Cyprus is win the ball back and play it 2-3 yards to Robertson or to Chambers or to, Darland or whoever. Like, I don't want to see him trying to play like a 40-yard diagonal through the lines because often gives it away. Like, that's not his game. His game is energy, breaking up play. And for a manager who wants to keep the ball, I'm surprised that he's put up with it for so long. Same as I'm surprised that he's happy with Halworth in goal, because Halworth wasted so much possession with his distribution. So, yeah, a few people saying they'd like to see the kids picked. Away the lads. Geordie's in the house. Right. Jeff de la Cruz. Welcome, by the way, Jeff, for being a member. Thank you very much for joining. We've got some good members content coming this way, including very soon. I finish editing it because it's been a long edit. But we've got an episode, The Question of Cardiff City, which is a game show we filmed a while back. It's Team Terry Phillips versus Team Paul Abandonato. And it's basically a question of sport, but on Cardiff City. But it was a lot of fun to film. We're going to film some more game shows and stuff. But yeah, Jeff, thank you for joining the membership. If you'd like to become a member, details are in the description below. Obviously, helps us keep going and keep creating content. Got a lot of plans for films and videos and all these different things around Cardiff. So, you know, it's the price of a coffee per month, but it makes a huge difference to us. So please do get involved. So Jeff says Ruben was superb. Yeah, Bellamy didn't put him in the Wales squad and pick Cullen. Well, the big reason why Ruben Colwell, the only reason Ruben Colwell is not in the Wales squad today, is because the Wales under-21s are on the brink of qualifying, and Ruben Colwell has been the centerpiece of that side and their qualification campaign. So, whilst he should be and he would be in the Wales squad today, he's not, because they want to see that job through. I've also heard from, you know, people around who know Ruben that he's wants to be a part of that, and he wants to finish off while he still qualifies for that those games in that age group. So I think people are getting very, not you, Jeff, but like people generally I saw a few comments like, oh my God, I can't believe he's, you know, he hasn't picked Ruben. But there's a reason. You know, Ruben will be in there. Craig Bellamy is a big fan of Ruben Colwell, knows what he can do, and you know, it won't be long before he's in there. Certainly, if he keeps going now. Yeah, and I agree with this. CCFC 9874 says we would have won that game if Ruben hasn't come off. Hopefully, that means he starts Saturday. Fingers crossed. Yeah, look, 100%. He was absolutely dominating the game at that point, but you know, I understand why. CCFC 9874 says he played Rawls, Robertson, Colwell. And he also says got an anchor, a box to box, and a playmaker with those three. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Reese says he'd play Rinamoto, Robertson, and Ruben, the triple R. Interesting that is, mate. I think, like, Rinamoto is a really interesting one to me, because I think if we'd had a bid for him all summer, he would have gone. I think we would have sold him. But slowly but surely, with these sort of the pre-season and then the EFL games, he's starting to play a little bit. And for the first time tonight, and probably in fairness, the last EFL Cup game, I've been like, I'm starting to see why Bullet quite likes him in these games. Lots of energy. I don't think he's the greatest on the ball, but again, like Siopis, you don't need him to be Perlo on the ball. You just need him to be the energy and the legs, and give it to Robertson, give it to Colwell. Let them do the thing. Paul says Robertson's silky, got that shoulder thing, drop it and go, turns it on. Yeah, he's a player, mate, a real player. Did the Jacks lose, did they? That's a shame. Against League One, no shots on target. Wow. Reese says Ashford's centre forward, so he can play across the front three, but he's probably better through the middle. Errol doesn't like that small, fast striker so much that I think long term Ashford might end up being a number 9. You know, obviously if he keeps going as much as his his ability and his potential is there, if he keeps fulfilling that, then I think he'll be our number 9. But I think at the moment I think he would struggle a little bit. Like I thought when he went shoulder to shoulder a couple of times with the fullback in the first half today. He's a fullback who's very very good. Just kind of eased him off a little bit, but that's something he can work on. Reese also said, I think Raheem Conte is better at fullback too, making the overlapping runs and running onto the ball. His passing, Ronan is more suited for the wing. Personally, they should swap. That's an interesting one. I think one of the reasons why I would like to see Errol Bullet switch to a 3-4-3 is because I think it's a way to get the young wing backs, fullbacks in and have the pace and youth in the side without having the pressure in the Championship of having like those kind of defensive pressure of it. So on my side, just if anyone doesn't know, but what I would like to see us revert to, long term, I suppose is the best way of putting it would be your keeper, and then I'd have Fish, Darland, and Chambers as a 3, and then say Pacquiao or Conte as a right wing back, left wing back, Giles or O'Dowda, Robertson and his partner, whoever that may be, Sayo, Rules, whatever, and then I would play Willock or El Ghazi, Ruben or Ramsey, and I play almost like dual 10s behind the striker, with the idea that the wing backs create the width. You have lots of creativity. You haven't got inverted wingers closing the space around your Rubens, your El Ghazis, your Willocks, your Ramseys. But also when you're out of possession, you've got a good shape to press. And then when the ball's in the central midfield areas, you've also got good numbers to create overloads in and out of possession, which Errol Bullock very much likes to create. He tries to create those central overloads. So I think that system not only works, but I also think it suits a lot of the players. I will say, so Jack Alnwick, right, I didn't think he did anything massively wrong tonight, but he had an opportunity to make a point, and he didn't. I thought there was at least one goal which he could have done a bit better for. I didn't think he was terrible, but I also was like, you had an opportunity. You had an opportunity to make a point tonight, and if Alnwick has a blinder tonight, everybody's clamoring. The media, everybody's clamoring for him to play on Saturday against Borough. And now I'm like, I don't think they are. I haven't seen one person say Alnwick should start against Borough. And I think that is maybe an issue we've got, because I don't know. Who was it? One of you guys asked me the question the other day, should we go in the loan market for a keeper? And I said I didn't really think we needed to, but got a couple of loan slots. I believe that we will sign a striker permanently. No, I won't say permanently. I think we'll sign a striker. I think we might sign a left back, and I think we'll sign a central midfielder. But as I said at the start of the summer, Errol Bullock and Cardiff City really like Casey McAteer. He's going on loan. He's just signed a new contract from Leicester. We talked to him or his agent at the start of the summer. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come to us, although he's got 4 or 5 clubs who want him. So it'll be interesting, because if Casey McAteer comes in, I'm not sure what that says for at least 1, maybe 2 of our wingers, because I look at it, and when everyone's fit now, even without a Casey McAteer, when everyone's fit, if I'm picking the side, Mate is not getting near the team. That's just my opinion, right? If we signed Casey McAteer, I think Ollie Tanner may be struggling a little bit. Mate's definitely struggling. And then even Kian, if El Ghazi's fit and firing, Willock's fit and firing, and then you've got Casey McAteer, that's 3 really, really good wingers. And then, you've got Kian, you've got Mate, you've got Ollie Tanner, you've also got Isaac Davis to come back, although I would like to see Isaac play through the middle. It's such a shame that Isaac Davis got injured, because I think everything which we look so much better with Callum Robinson through the middle. We look better in pre-season when Callum Robinson was in the middle, not Mate. We've looked better in the Championship when we've got a mobile striker who can come short and link up play, but also runs in behind with pace, also presses like a demon. So to me, and again, it's only my personal opinion, my personal choice, people might disagree. I would rather see, out of the players that are on our books at the moment, I would rather see Robinson, Isaac Davis, or Reindorf up front at the moment over Atete. Kanga, I reserve judgment on. He might come good when he's fit and firing. He just doesn't look fit. And I actually feel sorry for him, because I think he'd benefit more from 20 minutes at the end of the game at the moment than he does playing an hour. And I get it, it's minutes in the legs, but every time he plays an hour and doesn't score, it's another knock on his confidence. And I was thinking on Sunday, like when he put that curler and it just misses by millimeters, if that crashes in off the bar and everyone goes mental, his whole demeanour and confidence changes, and he could go on a bit of a run and an upward curve. He just doesn't look fully up to speed, fully fit. He's getting used to playing with Bullett's way and with the players. And I just think he'd benefit more from 20 minutes at the end. Maybe start with a Robinson. I think you've got to have Reindorf on the bench, me, at the moment, while Isaac Davis is not there. I just think, so for me, in competitive league games, I'm looking at the bench. I would like to have a keeper. I want to defend a central defender. So let's say if we're playing 4 at the back and Perry NG's your right back, my bench would look something like keeper, Fish, Conte, because he can cover loads of positions. And then I'm looking at the rest and I'm trying to get players who could make a difference to games. So I'm going, midfielders, wingers, attackers. So generally speaking now, of course, because there might be injuries, there might be different people available, different games might require different tools, stuff like that. But generally speaking, I'll give you like up the bench, which I would go with for Saturday. Bear with me a second. I want to just double check something I just had a message about, and I want to double check if that's true or I want to know if it's breaking news or if it's information that I'm being passed on. Right, okay, there's no news about that. Okay, so we won't talk about that. So, right, I apologize, I got distracted there. So I'm looking at it. My bench for a league game is going to look something like a keeper. So how many can you have on the bench? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That can't be right, is it? 9 people on the bench. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 isn't. There was 9 people on the bench versus Swansea. Okay, that changes things a little bit. But I would have keeper. I'd have a centre back. So you'd have your Fish or your Gutas. Then I've got Conte, who can play all across, fullback everywhere. Then I'm going for the likes of Rawls or Ridamoto. And then after that, so you've got like the 4, you've got a keeper, central back, a fullback, covered kind of utility player, your sort of central midfielder, your deep line playmaker, whatever you want to call it, in a Rawls or Ridamoto. And then the other 4 players on my bench are going to be wingers. They're going to be El Ghazi, they're going to be Callum Robinson, Ollie Tanner, Reindorf, and I'm going to have some youngsters in there, because the difference is, right, in my opinion, again, this is only my opinion, is if you put a K Pacquiao on the bench, a Conte on the bench, or a Reindorf on the bench, and you give them 10 minutes away, when 10 minutes at the end of a game, you're chasing a goal, and you chuck Reindorf up front with Callum Robinson, for example, those two will just go wild pressing, and they will just run and run and run. And Reindorf will give you everything. And all right, he might get a ball, he might beat the defender, and he might have a bit of a rush of blood, and he might try and beat another defender and lose it. But he might also beat a defender, take it inside, and smash it in the top corner like that, because they've got that. The youngsters have got that rawness and that pace and that aggression. They haven't been overcoached, and I just think it's vital to have those sorts of players on the bench. Joshua says, I would send Keane Ashford to Belgium like Isaac, and get him to play as a 9 or a second striker. I agree with that, mate, because I don't think Errol Bullock is going to play with two up front. Because I would love to see like Keane play up front with like Meite, maybe. Wouldn't mind that as much for Meite if he was like a target man with a smaller striker off him or a quick striker off him, or up front with like a Kanga. I would like to see how Isaac does with that. Keane. But realistically, he's not going to happen. It was Paul who asked about the keepers. Yeah, I do wonder whether we may look at a keeper in pre-season. But it was just nice to see us score goals today. Media says Robertson's still young, but I'll be wary of burning him out. I could see him coming through next season once he's found his feet. Honestly, I don't want to put pressure on the boy, but I'd be amazed if he's not the massive part of us and our team that by the end of the season, and he is not running things. Like, he's such a quality player. I also think that in this summer, that Errol Bullock will look, or the club will look, to bring in a midfield partner for him who plays a similar way to Siopis. I saw we were linked with Billing from Birmingham, or I don't know if we were linked with him, if he was just available and someone said, love him. Billing alongside Robertson would be ridiculous midfield for Cardiff. Absolutely ridiculous. Big fan of Billing. Media says Reindorf's weakness tonight was his passing. Also was played off the shoulder, but found himself offside a few times. Yeah, it's part of being a young player, isn't it? Unfortunately, I said the same thing earlier on. Like, I don't know if it was just before you came in, but I said, like, for all the good things he did, he did give the ball away a couple of times. Sometimes he holds on to the ball a little bit too long and tries to beat the extra man, or like finds himself offside. That one ball from Ruben in the first half, not long after Ruben scored, and he plays on the right, sort of inside right or whatever, and he plays like a little curled ball to Reindorf behind the centre back. What a ball that was! And he was just offside, unfortunately. But I just think he's the sort of player. I'm not saying start him and play him every week. I'm saying that he can be a big asset off the bench when you need a goal. We've seen it time and time again. Every team in the country, these young players who come off the bench, play with no fear, they will do it, and they'll cause teams problems. Media. No offense, don't think anyone's complaining about Halberth after tonight. Jeff says thanks for the explanation, Ramad and Ruben. No worries, and welcome again to the members club. Make sure you remember, guys, it's exclusive content, all that good stuff. Price of a cup of coffee, and you just get, you get some different shows each week. But also, what you do get, and I couldn't possibly reveal anything this evening, but let's just say that in the next week or so, I was going to announce a live event, hypothetically. If you're a member, you get 24 hours early access to tickets. So before they go on sale to the public, you get them. And, these events, we only do about 100, 130 tickets at the most. And then they go. The last two have gone quick, sold. Like, obviously, the Bellamy went super quick, but Joe Redley one was sold out. Willie Boland was more or less sold out pretty quick. I'm trying to think of the next couple. And I can't say that. But there's some wicked ones coming up next year as well. Absolutely wicked ones. Aberdeen. So, Yeah, what do you want? What do we want to talk about? Ryan Wintel's left on loan. Don't know what to say. Was his relationship or was his time at Cardiff City done the second he started arguing with the Ninian stand? Was it the Ninian stand? Like 10 minutes into a game, I think it was the Blackburn game. Honestly, I don't wish bad for anyone ever, even if I don't like him. And I don't know him. I don't know, like, it's nothing personal. But for Cardiff City and for Ryan Wintel, it was very much the best thing for him to move on. He wasn't on board with Errol Bullets. He wasn't on board with putting the club first. Didn't have the right attitude. Caused a few problems last year and fell out with the fans. So I mean, it's like tick, 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 tick. He's got to go. I wish him all the best, but all the best away from my football club, our football club, Cardiff City. Just don't want him here. I'm happy to see him go. I get it. Like, he's a human being, he makes mistakes, etc., etc. But from a purely Cardiff City point of view and what's best for the football club, it was best for Ryan Wintel to move on. Regardless of what you think of him as a player and the rest of it, it was just best to part ways, shake hands, say thank you very much, and that's just the way it is. It's the way football is, isn't it? We all know, we've all followed football long enough to know that it's part of what happens. Got any questions? Get them in the chat. It's late as well, so I'm more likely to be loose-lipped, as it were, and just say any old shit. I try to be, careful, professional, all these things, but it's late. I'm tired. Been a long day. Been a busy day. Oh, Jonathan, welcome to the chat. See what you're saying. Yeah, it's mental, mate, today. So he said, how was Wintel only alone? Didn't Stoke and Blackburn want to buy him? Yeah, it's mad, mate. The Wintel thing with them, I honestly don't know. What I do know is today there was a conversation, I don't know how far along it got and stuff, about terminating his contract and letting him go for free. So that to me says that very much that Cardiff just wanted him gone. I would assume that the bids never came, mate. That's the only thing I could think, because I don't think we were particularly interested in trying to get massive money for him. So I don't really understand. What's happening with Romeo now? Romeo, God knows, mate. Someone was telling me the other day, not that I don't know if they were basing it on information or if they were just basing it on their knowledge of employment law, but they were basically saying it's like an employment law thing. You can't sack him, so they're just trying to move him on. There hasn't been any takers, so at the moment he's in limbo. But for me, I don't pretend to be any sort of expert in employment law, but surely he would have breached his contract when he had the issue with the police, so they would have been in a position to terminate his contract. I have no idea if that's fact, like if that's what the way it works. I don't know, but I'm speculating that would be some sort of breach of contract. So you'd think that would have been the key to them letting him go. Whether maybe they want money for him, I don't know. Is the honest answer. I don't expect him to wear a Cardiff City shirt again, though, mate. I think that's pretty safe to say. Don't know what you guys think about that. Jeff says, I'm glad Wintel's gone. He's good mates for Kiefer Moore, who just twice in the trot. Media says, only criticism of Ruben is he needs to hold his tongue. No need for that yellow. Yeah, it was a bit of a needless yellow. There was a little bit of frustration there, I think. But also, it was... Do you know what, though, mate, right? I thought he was having... Like, he did have a go at the ref, but he followed it up and he was, like, having a bit of a joke. Like, he was smiling about it. And I wonder if, like, years ago, when the likes of your Jeff Winters and the rest were involved with refereeing games, and they had a bit of personality and they had a bit of back and forth with the players, would that have probably maybe not been a yellow? I don't know, mate. But I don't think he's particularly petulant, Ruben. So I don't think it's like an ongoing issue. If he, if it became a habit, then yeah, I could understand. Well, Reese just says he's less petulant than some of our pros and fairly calm character. I wouldn't worry about that personally. Mark Sandy says we need at least 4 more signings. Interesting. What 4 signings would you like to see, Mark? Like, what positions would you like to see? Jonathan says, do you think the Wintle situation could have had a bad effect on Perry NG because they were pretty close? No comment. I don't know, mate. I don't know. All I can say is that Perry NG hasn't been himself for a while. And Sunday was the first time that I watched him play for Cardiff City. And I truly felt like he wanted to be there. He gave his 100% all. He was focused and played well. And the shithousery was back, which is usually a sign that he's relatively up for it and happy. So I would say it's difficult now because if it's his mate, it's his mate, isn't it? And his mate has been, as soon as Errol Bullock got his contract, Ryan Wintle was completely isolated from the group. So if that's your mate, then I'm sure it's very difficult. So it makes sense. But he did look, I thought Perry started a bit ropey against the Jacks, but after about 10-15 minutes, I thought he was excellent. And I actually thought he was a big part of us getting back into that game because he was nipping in front of their players and he was really tight. I thought he was really good. Jonathan says, only thinking that because apart from the Jacks, he hasn't really been himself and there's been a few rumours around him. Yeah, I think it's never black and white, mate, is it? Like, there's always 3 sides to it. It's like there's this person's side, and then the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. And I think for Perry, I'd imagine it's been very difficult because his mate's been isolated. But then also, there's been all sorts of rumours about Perry going since probably last January. That would have been difficult. And then if any of those rumours had any legitimacy to them, and he thought he was going, like hypothetically, if let's say he thought at the end of last season he was going and maybe he said his goodbyes to people and then all of a sudden pre-season is there and he's like, oh shit, the season's starting now and I'm still here. Like, that must be difficult if that happened. I'm just like, again, I'm hypothesizing. I'm not saying that is what happened, but I'm saying that could conceivably have happened. Yeah, the Preston thing was weird because I got told that by someone who, doesn't steer me wrong, but it just didn't make sense because Preston don't have the money. Mark Sandy says a goalkeeper, a cam, a centre midfielder, and another striker. Another striker, agree if it's the right profile. I think it's pointless just getting another target man. It's got to be the right kind of striker. Central midfielder, I agree. I think we could do with a Billing from Bournemouth is my. I think ever since I saw that, I was like, he would be superb. I actually thought Hannibal would have been a great signing for us as well, but I don't think we got the 5 million. Keeper, I can see why people would want a keeper. I think if you can get a real good keeper on loan, then yeah. A cam, no, I don't see the point in that because at the moment, Ruben should be starting there, in my opinion. And you'd like to think that at some point Ramsey will get up to speed. You've also got Willock who can play there, El Ghazi who can play there, and Turnbull. So I don't see the point in getting another cam. But all opinions welcome, mate. I think maybe we might end up getting a left-sided winger, a left-sided fullback, which would allow O'Dowd to then move up to wing. Because O'Dowd isn't a fullback. I think you saw that. Not that I'm blaming him for the goal against Swansea, but that wasn't the reaction of a natural defender when Halverth makes a very good save. He didn't have that defensive instinct to get to the ball first. So let's see what other people are saying. Another 12:30 kickoff Saturday. Hope that's the end of them for the season, especially with the kids' football starting. Yeah, mate. It's luckily my son's game on Saturday is like ridiculously early. Joe Regan says a left back should be a priority in my opinion. Do you know what, Joe? I kind of half agree with you. I would get a lone left back because I think Louis Giles is really, really good. And I think 12 months' time, I wouldn't want to sign like a 26-year-old left back who's going to be here for 3-4 years, who's going to stunt that development of Louis Giles. I think if we can get someone in, for an example, Harry Amas from United on loan for 12 months to help, and then Giles comes in next summer to the first team proper, I think that works. But yeah, no, I accept it. Like left back's an issue. Jonathan says a winger, a striker, possibly a left back, but Giles and Bagan look solid at the moment, and Conte and Capaccio are capable options too. Yeah, and I think both Conte and Capaccio can both play off the left as well. So, but he's got to give these young players a go, mate. Is the thing as well. Like, this is my one criticism of him, of Bullet. Not my one criticism, but as a genuine criticism, is that I want to see him. Well, it's like twofold. I want to see him pick players on form, not his favourites, which I think dropping of Gutas on Sunday was a good sign in that respect. And I want to see him giving these young fullbacks a go, because they're all ready to play first team football to some degree, whether that be bits and pieces or whether that be starting. Some of them are ready. Paul says goalkeeper yes, left back yes, striker yes, so probably 3. So 3, but probably only going to get a striker if that happens. Mate, we're already talking to a striker, and we've still got 3 loan spots left. Loans are very easy to do in this day and age, so I'm quite excited by the. I think we've already. If you cut the window now, I think in terms of building a team for this manager. So the first year was stabilising with frees and loans, and then this summer we're starting to get players that he wants in. We're building a real good squad. I was on the radio earlier before the game tonight for BBC Solent, I think it is, just talking about the game and stuff. And that people from other teams cannot believe that we've signed Callum Chambers and El Ghazi, especially El Ghazi. Like, El Ghazi is only 28, 29. Like, once he's up to speed, he is going to cook. I think people forget how good he is. He just hasn't played for 9 months, not through injury, but through a legal case. Once we get him up going. Jonathan says, Bullet seems to rate Dave Bagan defensively, playing him centre-back in pre-season. Probably not through choice, but he's backed him. Yeah, I quite like Bagan at centre-back, but I think now you've got Fish, Darland and Chambers in that centre-back area, plus Gutas. I can't see. Yeah. Casey McAteer. I know we talked to him, mate, so I did talk about it a little bit earlier, so I don't want to repeat myself. I know we talked to him at the start of the summer. I think we tried to sign him permanently, but obviously he's just signed a new contract. They rate him super highly at Leicester. And again, like I said earlier, if we were to get Casey McAteer on loan, which I don't think is out of the question, he's a real good winger. Play off the right, play off the left, probably playing the 10 as well, but he's got some pace, got a real electric set of heels when he gets going, good on the ball, scores goals. He's going on loan, and I know we're one of several clubs who want him, and there'll be all like loads of clubs who want him. He's a real good player. Joshua says Ruben in the spotlight tonight. Site interest will only increase. Yeah, on Sky, scored an absolute worldie. I don't think we sell him in this window, but my thoughts on that side of it is, if next summer someone comes in for Ruben with big money, it's because he's kicked on again from last season. I thought he had a good season last season, and I thought, particularly the second half of the season, I thought he was a massive part of it. And ultimately, we as a team look better when Ruben Colwell's on the pitch. We look more dangerous when he's on the pitch, which I think says a lot. I think it's too late in the window to sell him now. It just is. But I think we've had right. You are then to finish off. I'll go to a few more comments, but as we wrap up, I want you guys to rate our window as of today, 28th of August, out of 10. What do you give Cardiff City's transfer window in terms of overall build and rebuild of the team, and Bullet trying to get a squad that can compete and players that he wants? I want you to rate it out of 10 as it is now. Not if we sign this and that, but as it is today. What do you think? Because you got to remember, in my opinion, you cannot change every player in one window. It takes time. You've got to do it bit by bit. And I think the club deserve a bit of credit this time around, because I really think it's been a strong window. Yes, we'd love it if all these players were fit for the first game. But as I said on someone else's podcast the other day, if you get the opportunity to sign an El Ghazi, but he's not fit, but it's in your budget, you take it. Same with Chambers, same with Robertson, particularly. You've got to take the opportunity to sign these players when you get it. Joshua says we need a right wing, physical one. Said it before, Sema would have been perfect as he can fit the striker mold. Do you know we were linked with? I forgot his name at the start of the window. The lad from Brighton, the winger. I got a thumbnail made up because I was going to do a scout report on him, and I never had time. What was his name? That's going to bug me. Someone will tell me now, hopefully. It's going to bug me, that is. I might have to bring the thumbnail up because it's going to bug me, and it'll get to me all night. I'll be trying to think of it. Let's have a look. Joshua says we don't need a left back. I think he trusts a few players to play there, aside from O'Dowda, Bagan, Giles, if needed. Joshua says we also need an 8 or a 6, someone that can do a job in both positions on loan. I don't know about that. I think in that way, I think we need a midfielder. I think I would rather it be a permanent signing and it be the right player at the right age, similar to Robertson. I would like us to look for a midfield partner for Robertson long term, rather than just get someone in short term loan, because we've got Rawls, we've got Siopis, we've got even Rinamoto's I think has been impressive, or not impressive, but looks like he could contribute. Ramsey played a bit deeper in the second half against Swansea. I don't think he can do it from the start of games, but I think we might see him slot in a bit deeper as the games go, sort of go on. And if we need a goal, he might just drop in a bit deeper. Jeff de la Cruz says there are another 2 12:30 kickoffs before Christmas at home and 1 away. Plymouth and Blackburn at home, and then there'll be 1 in the new year too. Such a pain flying from Ireland for those games. Fair play to you, mate, because those 12:30 kickoffs are a brutal pain in the arse for the people who live in Cardiff and the valleys, let alone flying in from Ireland, mates. Shout out to you. Jonathan said Ruben done it again tonight in front of one of his biggest fans in Russell Martin. Thinks very highly of him. Surely we wouldn't sell Ruben this late in the window, because you've got no time to replace him. Be interesting. Mark, I'll have a look at that now in a minute. That's an really interesting question. Jeff says 8 out of 10 for the window. Jonathan says 7 out of 10. Very good ins, but struggling to get some out. And our biggest worry is goal scorers. Hasn't really been resolved. Media Redia says 8. Definitely headed in the right direction. Sarmiento. Nice one, Joe. Yes, mate. He would have been a real good one. Yes, Sarmiento Lewis as well. Yeah. 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 Right. So, Mark says Dwight Gale, Scott Hogan, Mark Albrighton, and Jeff Hendrick all available on a free. Which ones would you take? Wow. So a little bit of a look. Because off the top of my head, I know I lean towards one of those, but I got a feeling he's about 40. So I'm going to have a little nose at their stats. So you've got Mark Albrighton, 34, play off the right or left of midfield. How many games did he play last year for Leicester? Did he play many? Because if he didn't play many games last year for Leicester, then I kind of lean towards no. Because I think I like the thought that we're starting to look more towards younger profile of players. Because I think one of the things that we've had an issue with is like we're quite a slow team and we haven't got the legs and the athleticism. Excuse me. But like with some of these signings, like your Robertsons and Willock and people like that, they got a bit more pace and a bit more athleticism about them. And I do like that. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. So you got Albrighton. Yeah, not sure about him. I think probably not for Albrighton. I did really rated him when he was younger, but I think I'm not sure you'd get too much out of him now that you wouldn't get out of others. So have a look at Dwight Gale. Dwight Gale, 34. Can play wide, can play through the middle. Scored a lot of goals in his career. Would he be worth a punt? Like a free transfer? I don't know. Anyone tell me what his personality like? Is he one which would sulk if he wasn't in the squad or this sort of thing? I have no idea what his sort of personality is like if he's, because I think with a free transfer like that, like you could take a punt on him and think, well, if it doesn't come off. It's a free transfer, just paying his wages. He scored a lot of goals in his career. He scored 109 league goals in his career. In the Championship, he scored 62 in 145 games. He scored 26 in the Premier League. Like, he's a goal scorer. And particularly when he plays as an out-and-out centre forward, he scores goals. So Dwight Gale was the one. When you put the question to me, Dwight Gale was the one who I was like, that's an interesting one. So who was the other one? Scott Hogan. So I would lean in towards not so much with Scott Hogan. I don't think, I'm not sure that he can still, I think he didn't play a lot for, was it Birmingham he was at last year? Yeah, didn't play a great deal last season. But again, he does score goals, man. And goal scorers is what we is lacking. It's difficult. Yeah, as long as Josh Bowler doesn't come back, we're happy. Yeah. Paul just put an interesting one. He said Cantwell would have been a good shout, but I think Blackburn are in for him. We were linked with him quite heavily earlier in the window. And I saw some people saying, oh, no, he's been rubbish for Rangers. When he was playing for Norwich before he went to Rangers, he was like the next big thing. Like, people were so happy. I saw we were linked with, not by anyone particularly reputable, but we were linked with Jow. What's his name? Is it Jow from, used to play for Watford? He, not a fan of that one, mate. Gotta be honest. Like, he's not terrible, but I don't know. Same thing. Like, I've been really happy with the kind of profile of player that we've been going for recently. And what's Who was it? When it wasn't Joe from Watford, who was it? Then we got it. I'm gonna have to look at that because that's gonna bite me as well. Like I say, it wasn't anyone particularly. Is it Joe? Let me see now. I'll tell you exactly who it is. Because it's going to bug me. And then I'm going to wrap up. But we'll, like I said, it wasn't someone like super reputable who put it up, but it was just like, Cardiff are in talks with blah, blah, blah. We've been linked with Will Keane today. Again, not by anyone particularly reputable, but I wouldn't be disappointed with Will Keane. Where's that message gone? Let's see if we can find it. I can't find the message, but yeah, it might have been the Reading one. Yeah, I think that as well. Jonathan says Will Keane is agent talk. I wouldn't be disappointed with him, mate, but I wouldn't be excited by him either. He's like one of them. Like he'd be all right, but good. I'm not so sure about Mark Albrighton. Al Hamidi is the one, mate. That's the one I would love us to go back for. Yeah. Did anyone notice how short and blunt the post about Ryan Wintle was? That was interesting, wasn't it? All the best, Ryan. Oh, mate. All I can say is if people knew what went on last year, it's wild. But anyway, Will Keane, I don't think it would be. He's not like a super exciting one where I'm like, yeah, let's get him in. But if he came in, I wouldn't be disappointed either. It's just like one of them. Lucas Jow, that was the one. Obviously, he was at Sheffield Wednesday, Reading. What do you guys think of that? Like, would you be happy with Lucas Jow? Jeff Hendrick, no thanks. Louise says Wintle's gone to learn some nasty play at Millwall. He'll come back much better. I don't think he's coming back, Louise, to be honest. But here we go. Jeff, Lucas Jow, yeah, not a fan. What about Campbell? Would we be happy with Campbell if he was to be relinked with the club? It's going to be interesting because they've been really good with leaks this year. And I've been trying to find out for the last week who the striker is that we're in talks with. And all I kept being told is that he's playing in Europe this week. And then depending on how this team does will probably depend on whether he comes to us. But Dwight Gale, Joshua says Dwight Gale is worth a punt on a free for sure. 1 year deal. Why not? Yeah, I think. But what you can do with that is you can kind of get it ready without, like, you can kind of just sort of, you don't have to do that today. Like, do you know what I mean? You can kind of, yeah. And didn't Ryan Wintle sign a new contract fairly recently? I think. Jonathan says Cantwell likely a big wage and he's not been at it for about 3 years. But then Paul says right underneath, Cantwell, he was fire in the Premier League with Norwich. We get him and we can find that form what a player he'd be. Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Like you can kind of like try and find the players. If you can find their former form, is it worth the risk? I don't think he's look with Cantwell. I've heard no reason why he's like he's not a bad egg sort of thing. Yeah. So like ultimately, if he comes in and he's not quite up to it, then that's one thing, isn't it? But he's not going to cause a problem. Louise says a few days to the transfer window. Let's see if we can get any more in. Personally, I think we'll get a striker in, and then I think we'll get a couple of loans. Wrong one. Jonathan says Karamoko Dembele, who I mentioned earlier in the window, looking decent now. So, yeah, didn't we talk about him on the show with Pan? I thought he was one of the players that we brought up. I might be wrong. Might be the other Dembele. Was it his brother we talked about that I suggested? I'm not sure. Yeah. Karamoko. Right, boys and girls, I'm getting a bit tired now. So I'll give you 60 seconds to ask any questions you want to ask, and then we'll go. Paul says 3-year contract with their wins until 2026. Shambles. Joshua says, make sure Birmingham fans can't stand him. So yeah, he's not one I'd be looking to. Joshua says club made a mistake extending that Wintle contract. Yes, they did. Siriaki Dembele, I think that's not his brother. No, we looked at. There were two who were related. Who I looked at. I forget. It's so long ago, mate. But yeah, Karamoko, he's a player, mate. Player. Where is he now? Is he on loan, or is he going to? Confused. Is he going to? He's going out to France, is he? By the looks of it, from QPR. Or has he come from? No, he's come from France and he's going to QPR. QPR permanent. That makes sense. It was weird how they've written that down. Errol Bullet. Yeah, what a man. Hopefully, we definitely should be appealing that red card. By the way, I thought that was an outrageous decision. I didn't think the ref was as bad as what some people thought against the Jacks, but I thought he missed a lot, and I thought he was quite poor. But I didn't think he was as terrible as some people thought, but he wasn't very good either. But the red card for Bullet was a weird one. There was no need for it whatsoever. Yeah, I like Wilkeen says Inside Club said his agent talk. Wouldn't surprise me, mate. Lewis Watts says love Jay Stansfield. Yeah, mate. Jay Stansfield, I'm a massive fan of. I was talked about him about. We were talking about him a couple of years ago on the Rhodri Gig show. He's someone I've got a lot of time for as a player. I've heard he's pretty sound, but he's also got quite a heart wrenching, warming story as well. Seems like a good guy and someone who's got a real good attitude about the way he goes about his business and stuff. So if you see people coming in late now, if you see loads of 7s and 8s and out of 10 in the chat, it's because we were asking people to rate what they thought Cardiff City's transfer window has been up to today. Most people between 7 and 8. I think that's pretty good. The rebuild continues. Paul says we have a quality squad being built. Hats off to the club. Future's bright and even more confident with a few quality youngsters. Yeah, we've got a good crop coming through. Paul also says, I don't think we're far off. I won't say top 6, but next year, mate, we'll got to go for it. Yeah, he's building, mate. Building. And I think what I don't want to see us do now is panic and get the wrong signing, because I think we've got a real good mix of young and quality. The ones who aren't young have been quality. And I think we've had a real good mix. We've added some athleticism, some pace. I don't want to see us panic like we did with Jeju in January. If we can't get the right striker in now, don't just sign any old shite. Either get the right player in or go with what we've got till January, because we've got Kanga, who I do think will come good. We've got Robinson. We've got Reindorf, and we have got Isaac to come back eventually. And then you've also got people like El Ghazi, or you've got Ruben who can play like a false 9. There's a lot of options. I don't want to see us panic and just buy any old player. I want us to continue the way we've done all window. That's our target. that's the player we want, and we're going to get him. We're not only going to get him, we're going to get him at the right price for us. That's a good shout, Louise. Danny Ings is available. He's 32, and he's been sent out of West Ham. They've released him. Well, if Danny Ings is available, that would be a good signing. Although I'm not sure if Errol would play him in that. He's on about that's unfortunately is that is also true. He's on about 40-50 grand a week. But he wants to play football. Bullet hinting at Reindorf loan with Conte, Ashford and Fagan, Walcott. Yeah. So the first two, I think he might reconsider depending on who we get in. I think Ashford and Fagan Walcott will go on loan. I think Conte will depend on if we get certain players in. And I think Reindorf will probably depend on if we get a striker in. If we don't get any strikers in, if we don't get the right people in or the people we want in, then we shouldn't get anyone and we should go with what we've got. It's important that you build on what we've built this window. Don't spoil it by just panicking and getting like any old player. Jonathan says 36 for a goalkeeper isn't the worst, to be honest, in Old Boys. How old was Van der Sar? David James at 40 at Bristol. Yeah. Like Tom Heaton has just signed. I got you, Jack. I got you, mate. I think Tom Heaton's just signed a new contract with Man United, and I think he's doing some coaching. But he'd be a good keeper for us. He's quite a keeper still. The one I really disagree with out of these loans here. So Reindorf loan, Conte, Ashford, Fagan, Walcott. The one that stands out for me and I really kind of disagree with is Conte, because I think he's so versatile that you need those utility players on the bench or in the squad. Reindorf, I kind of understand, especially if we're getting a striker in, because we've got other options who are going to play before him, even though I would have him on the bench on Saturday. Ashford, the same. I can understand why we would loan him out. I'd like to see Ashford go to Belgium. And Fagan Walcott, I think if he has another season of playing, it'll kick him on more than if he just sits on the bench for us and plays 23s. Be interesting. Reindorf is a quality talent, Louise. You're right there. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Maybe we'll do some more of these late night lives, but it's 20 to 12. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Been doing some stuff today. I was on the radio earlier. If you would like to check that out, BBC Radio Solent. I believe the podcast version's out in the morning. It's the Saints and Sinners podcast. I'm also on Red Army Radio tomorrow before I do the show with Rhodri, and I'll probably do something with Pan tomorrow, hopefully. So it's all good. Take care, my friends. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. If you'd like to become a member, because it keeps us going, and you never know when we might announce our next live event. Could be like next week or the week after or tomorrow. Could be anytime, but they're coming. And it obviously keeps us going, supports us, gets it all going. Patreon.com/acepodcastnation. Take care, my friends. Be good, and if you can't be good, have fun.